What's up, friend? Most of my students know this about me, but I have such pet peeves when it comes to the concealer techniques that are circulating the internet. Most of these techniques can make your under eyes look cakey, look dry, and make you look older. And I don't know about you, but I'm trying to look young forever here. So I'm gonna go through the do's and don'ts of applying your concealer so you know what to do, and when you see the don'ts, you know to look away. Don't apply your concealer directly from the tube, even if you're dotting. This is too much product, and this is one of the main reasons why your concealer creases throughout the day, especially if you're using a full coverage concealer like Shape Tape. I love Shape Tape, but if you use too much, it's not gonna last. Do use a brush to apply your concealer, and I'm gonna show you how in just a minute. Don't always go 2 shades lighter. This can be too light for you and also be the wrong undertone. And if it's the wrong undertone, it can end up making you look very pale, especially under the eye area. So if you take a photo or if you're in a dim lit room, it's gonna be really obvious that your concealer doesn't match the rest of your face. Do match your concealer to your foundation because you want to have a seamless blend from your under eyes throughout the rest of your face. So if your concealer matches your foundation, you're not going to see where it starts or ends, and this is going to give you a very natural, even skin complexion. Don't do the V and apply it everywhere. I see influencers and so many others do this all the time, and while it can look really great on camera, it doesn't look good in person, and after a few hours, it's going to cake. Just like applying directly from the tube, it's too much product. This is gonna settle into your lines, which like I said, is gonna crease. And if it creases, it also ends up making your under eyes look dry and it makes you look older. And again, we don't want that. Do apply where you have the darkness. I want you to remember this, purposeful placement. And that's why I'm going to take a concealer brush. This is a Crown concealer brush, number C224. And I have my Shape Tape right here, and I'm going to take my concealer brush and go directly onto the applicator to get some product. Now, when I go up in to apply my concealer, I only want to apply where there's darkness. So right now I have my foundation on, and you can see I do have a lot of darkness in the inner part of my eye. This is where most of us end up having the darkness and where we need to have it covered. So if you're like me, only apply here. I don't want you to apply all underneath the eye, like I mentioned. We're only gonna go where there is that darkness, and I'm gonna stipple the product right there. Now, before I blend this out, I'm going to take a tissue and I'm going to wipe the excess off my brush. And the reason I'm wiping the excess off my brush is because I don't wanna add more product. This is a thick, full coverage concealer. I don't need a lot. And Shape Tape, this one specifically, blends beautifully. So now that I've got it there, my brush is pretty clean, I can go ahead and just tap it in the area that I need. I'm bringing it down slightly into this little divot because that's where I've got a little bit of shadow. And I'm of course focusing on this inner corner. I also like to blend the concealer onto the eyelid because I use my concealer as an eyeshadow base. So I'm just gonna do that real quickly. I like to use concealer as an eyeshadow base because if you notice on my eye here, you see how it's a little bit discolored? By putting my concealer there, I'm evening out my skin tone, and that's what I'm going for. I want my whole complexion to be nice and even before I start decorating later on with eyeshadow and things like that. Now, there's 2 things I want you to notice. I didn't put concealer on this part of my eye because I don't need it. Now, if you're one of those people who do have discoloration on this area, go ahead and put your concealer there too. You're just gonna do the same thing. You wanna stipple and lift up. But I don't want you to apply from the tube. I still want you to use the brush so you can control how much product you're using. The other thing I want you to notice is I didn't bring up the concealer all the way to my lash line. Sometimes when you bring it all the way up to your lash line, this is where it creases. So if you're putting the concealer all the way up there, you're more likely to get it creasing throughout the day than if you had just kept it right in that inner corner, because there it doesn't crease as much. Remember purposeful placement. It's one of the mantras that I teach in my makeup program, and I'm going to drop the link in the description box below in case you want to know how I can teach you everything you want to know in order to perfect your makeup application.